Now the next topic is types of inheritance. The first one is single inheritance, means one parent class. Now see here, it will be one A is the parent class and B is the child class, means A is your base class, B is your derived class, means B is derived from A. This is your single level inheritance. There will be only one base class and one derived class. Next is your multiple inheritance. In multiple inheritance, you will have more than one base class and one derived class. More than one base class and one derived class. So what can be the example of single inheritance? For example, a person person can be a student, person can be a teacher. Okay, now multiple inheritance, what can be the example for multiple inheritance? Now this class, this is the examination department and this is your CAs that I am calculating. Now examination department has your midterm result and I am having your CA marks. Okay, now depending upon this, I want to calculate your result, so I am going to fetch some data from here and some data from here and I am going to utilize that data in this class. Next is hierarchical inheritance. Here you have one base class and multiple child class. Now in this, now here area can be the class and B, C, D are the derived classes. That is, B can be area of circle, square, rectangle. Next is your multi-level inheritance, means more than one level. Now this will be your base class, this will be your derived class. So the inner class is a base for this class and this is actually derived class from A. Okay, now last is your hybrid inheritance. Hybrid means combination of more than two classes. Combination of more than two classes. Let's discuss the program for single level inheritance. I am going to have here a class base. Suppose I create here a single variable int a. Now in public section, now by default the data member a is private. Here I create one function, void get function. I write here cout enter the value of a. C in A. Now what I am going to do is void show function. Closing my class here. Now see here, class derived. Now if I am not writing this, this is an individual class. Now these two classes are having no link. Now to link access level public base. Now when I write here public, it means the public data will go in public section of derived class and this is private data. Private data is not inheritable. So whenever I am going to use inheritance, I am going to write here protected. I let you know the difference. First I am going to write here protected. Now class derived public base. There I declare one more variable b. Now I am going to write here public. Now make sure till now you are going to take different names for these functions, the functions you are having here and the function, I'll let you know the reason later on, but first I'm going to take different function names. Void input, cout, enter b, cin, b. Void show function already taken, cout b. Now in inheritance, why I am using inheritance? I am going to use already existing data in my derived class. Okay, so which class object I am going to create here? Derived class object, because I have a already defined class base, and from that class I am going to derive a class. So obviously which class object will be created? Derived D. Now whenever I am going to create derived D, it is going to have these data as well as this data. So it can access my base class as well as derived it can access. Now D dot get function is your base class function. I write D dot IP, taking A as an input. Now I write D dot show, D dot OP. Return 0, closing my program. So if I execute this program, it is asking me the value of A. I write 23, value of B 56. See here 23 and 56 as my answer. Now this is the one way. Now I have written here protected. Now I told you in inheritance you can access the data. This is the one way you can write. Now how you can access the other way? I am going to comment this function and I am going to access it over here, B as well as A, and here B and is A. Now if you see here, if I execute, the data member is protected. Protected means it can be accessible in derived but not in main. If I execute this program, see here, get function does not exist anymore. I comment it. And I comment show function also. See here, enter B 5689. See here, 5689 as the answer. Now I told you public data can be accessible anywhere, but if I am going to access, A is a protected member. A can be only accessible in derived class. So suppose I am going to trying to access it over here. I write here simply cin d comma d dot a, d dot a. See here, it is giving me the error A is protected. But if it is a public data member, I make it public. Now I write this thing. Now see, my program is working fine. Now next thing that I want to discuss is if I make this data member private. Now in the previous video I have told you private data is not at all accessible. Now private I have made int A, I am accessing it in derived class. So if I execute this, see here, it is not at all accessible. So this is all about your making your data member private, public, protected, and your inheritance. In the next slide I am going to discuss what will happen if you change here the access specifier. Means now it is public. I'll come discuss about if I am going to write here public, what will happen. If I am going to write here private, what will happen. Or if I am going to write protected, then what will happen. I hope single inheritance will be clear to you.